Okay, that's 4 o'clock, so I think I'm just going to get started here. So hello and welcome to this webinar. This is our last in our series of free webinars for the year, and I'm delighted to welcome you here today from wherever you are to have a look at how the iPad can be used to support learning and communication for those on the autistic spectrum. I have a primary teaching background and 10 years experience of working with young people with autism in educational settings, and also through providing respite care for Max, a 15-year-old boy with autism. Well, he really has taught me a lot since I started looking after him at the age of 5. Part of my remit here at Call Scotland is to go out and do assessments for individual pupils and give advice and recommendations on how technology can be used to support their learning and communication. For the autistic young people I meet and work with, the range of uses of technology is huge, from complex communication support apps to simply using guided access on the iPad as a way of locking them into one app and not being distracted off to something else. And not forgetting providing the indestructible iPad protective cover, which may be required for those who are not able to resist throwing the device about. So this is going to really be a whirlwind 20-minute session today, probably 20-25 minutes, and it's going to be impossible to get through all the technology options out there to consider the diverse abilities and needs and challenges of children and young people on the spectrum. So maybe best just to think of it today as a taster session, and I'll be sending a link out to everything I cover today, so you can sit back and enjoy it and don't have to worry about keeping notes. So there will be an option at the end to ask some questions via the chat panel. My colleagues Craig and Gillian are here today as moderators. A quick hello to Craig and hello to Gillian.
Hello.
Hi, Shirley.
Let's just checking they're still there. So
We're
they will be
here.
Good. Gillian's one of our specialist speech and language therapists, and it'll be great because we'll be able to share our expertise and answer any specific AAC questions at the end. So I'm going to just dive right into it now. I'm going to share my iPad screen, and we're going to be having a look at iPad functionality and apps to support learning and communication for those with autism. As it's a short session and it's all about the iPad, I just wanted to check that everyone knows that the iPad has inbuilt text-to-speech. I often provide training in schools who have masses of iPads, but it's not as widely known as it should be. So I'm going to just click on the settings icon, and down the left-hand side I want to get to accessibility. And on the right-hand side, spoken content. And just to make sure, just a one-time switch on that you've got speak selection and speak screen toggled on. One autistic boy that I know who had a real interest in tractor videos, in particular big tractors, Big Bud 747 being his all-time favourite, and he just used to love watching videos of them. He used Access YouTube to watch the videos, well, to search for them, and it is actually a really good place rather than the YouTube site itself. It's much an easier way to search for appropriate videos and has a much simpler interface. So this is where he accessed his videos on big tractors. You could remember lots of information about them, and which he could share with his classmates and his teacher. He was considered a non-reader and writer. But one day a new teacher decided to show him a website about the Big Bud 747 on the iPad. So this was the website. There was a farming website, so it had his favourite tractor there. Was obviously interested in the pictures, but now we've got lots of text coming in there. But we had switched on speak screen, so we've got that ability to have all the text read out there. So it was a great thing for him to be able to discover that just by 2 fingers swipe down from the top of the page, he could listen to the text. But not only that, if you click on the 2 A's to the left of the address bar, the URL bar at the top there, I'm just going to tap on them now. You'll see I get the option for reader view. So if I click on the reader view, not only have I got the website there, I've now got it in a much clearer way to use the actual speak screen functionality. So as I was saying, 2 fingers swipe down from the top of the screen will switch on the speak screen.
The 27th of March 2019, built by Ron Harmon and Montana-based Northern Manufacturing in 1977. Big Bud 6EB747 was the main attraction at the California Farm Equipment.
And it will have the text read out to me. And change the speed there, can change the voices a little bit, but it's good to know that we've got that inbuilt in the iPad there. So like any other child with an ever-developing and growing mind, different things at different times can just click. So exposure to written text should remain constant with the expectation that a young autistic person can be literate. The tractor example is a really good reminder to keep offering reading opportunities, and text-to-speech is a fantastic example of how this reading activity could now be accessed independently. Some ASD students don't require text-to-speech because they have decoding skills, but what other levels of reading comprehension? Just going to put up a slide here to show you. Many students with autism spectrum disorder demonstrate difficulties in reading comprehension. Williamson, Carnahan and Jacobs 2012 identified 3 cognitive factors that contribute to comprehension deficits: theory of mind, weak central coherence and executive functioning. So where does technology fit into the picture of supporting reading comprehension? Well, if a student has an iPad, then it's very quick and easy to source images, videos or symbols to achieve all the elements outlined in this table. Nguyen's 5 key steps for teaching reading comprehension. So it really is the epitome of universal design for learning and creating an inclusive learning environment, because these structured steps for improving reading comprehension will support all learners. Really looking to see what is their background knowledge, prior learning. You're helping make that connection between images, so maybe images that you're sourcing on the web before you're actually reading the article, and being able to then have a good discussion about it. So now you've used text-to-speech to have the text read out loud. You've supported them with good reading comprehension strategies. What would be the next step in demonstrating their learning? So you could use the iPad, you could use an app, and I'm just looking at the first page there. I've got one, voice memo, so it could create an audio file. So whatever information they've learned about tractors, about whatever they've been reading about, they could just speak using this memo app and save it as a little audio file. I'll just click into that now and do a demonstration. So I'm just going to click on the red button and I'm going to start speaking. There's a museum in Iowa where you can see my favorite big tractor, and it has been seen by thousands of people from 22 countries, but not by me yet. Okay, so now I've got a little recording there that I can save, and that could be something that then I would be maybe adding on somewhere. I'm just going to go to the generic square with the arrow in the top left corner, and you can see I've got options there. I can now share that little audio file by mail. I can add it to Drive, Google Classroom, OneNote, whatever I want. So therefore, the teacher can access that there. The other option we have for showing your learning is, what about speech recognition? And this could be a good way to produce some written or typed work. I had an autistic pupil who was so anxious about spelling a word wrong that he refused to write or type anything, but speech recognition really changed all that, because you don't get spelling mistakes. So if I open, let's go to the Pages app, which is a sort of Word equivalent on the iPad. I'll create a new document. I'll show you how easy it is to use speech recognition. So I'm just opening up a blank document. I will just make the text a little bit bigger. Oh, I'm just going to make the text a little bigger so we can see it clearly. Now you can see, because I've got the keyboard up here, what I have when I click when I've got the keyboard up there, I've got to the left of the spacebar, I've got the microphone icon. So all I have to do is just click on that, and I'll be able to have inbuilt Siri is going to listen to my voice, And without any training, I'm going to see if it will pick up my voice and type out the words that I say. There is a museum in Iowa where you can see my favourite big tractor, and it has been seen by thousands of people from 22 European countries, but not by me yet. Full stop. Okay, so that's just so easy and quick to do. And to say, for somebody who's really anxious about spelling, you're not going to have any spelling mistakes there. So it's a really, really thing to be able to try. And then if I go to the top right of the page, I've got the circle with the 3 dots. I'm just going to tap on that. And another nice feature you can use there is just put it into presenter mode, and I've now got what I said will come up like an auto cue. So if you were talking to your class, you could have this going in the background or just reading it from your iPad there. So that's speech recognition. Sorry, inbuilt in the iPad, really, really good use for that. And I've got a nice example of speech recognition that was used with an autistic boy. He'd been working in a school and they'd been using Dragon NaturallySpeaking software, trying to get them to speak. They're people that were not producing any written work, but were having to do personal statements, so they were trying to use speech recognition. And this boy to the class one day, standing outside the door, and the teacher passed and said, "Everything okay?" And he's, "No, not really. I had to leave the class there." And he was clearly agitated. And so the teacher had said, "Well, look, why don't you go into the spare classroom there and switch on the computer and talk to Dragon and tell Dragon what's upsetting you?" And the boy said, "No, I don't want to do that because you'll read what I'm going to say." And the teacher said, No, go on your own. You'll be absolutely fine." So you see at the door that he'd switched on the computer and was using speech recognition and just speaking and speaking, and the words are appearing on the screen. He then stopped. He then deleted everything he said. He got up and walked out the class. And as he passed her, he said, "I feel much better now. I'm going back into class." And she was just absolutely amazed. I mean, a totally incidental and unplanned use of speech recognition, but it was enough for him to get over his frustrations, his anxieties, whatever had upset him in the class, and allowed him to go back into the class and carry on with the lesson. So that was a really good, other good, unexpected feature of it there. So you can see so far we've only looked at a couple of inbuilt features of the iPad and not specifically looking at apps. What apps are out there to support learning? Well, there's a lot of literacy support apps up there. An example of this would be Clicker Writer. So this is an app that's from Crick. It used to be used of various apps, Clicker Sentences, Clicker Docs, Clicker Books, but it's now all being created into one app called Clicker Writer with all the really, really good features in it. It's got all this list of features you'd want to support a writing activity. It's got text-to-speech, word prediction, spelling support, word banks, mind mapping, everything that you would want there. And it's extremely accessible as well because you could use it with switch access or eye gaze as well. So it's one that we really, really like. So you can see here on my app here, I've got my word bank down at the bottom here. I've got some starters, I've got some feelings and additional words. So the good thing about it, anything that's in Writer, is if I just click on the speak icon there, I can have anything read out to me. So just tapping on the phrase in the bottom section there.
I wanted to let you know how I feel because.
Okay, so if you weren't able to read that, you're still able to engage in it because you can have it all read out. So very simply, I choose what I'm going to say. When I tap on it, it goes into the document section. And anytime you put a full stop in, it reads it out.
I am feeling frustrated.
Okay, so you've got that extra support in there, and it really is an excellent app if you were looking for some literacy support there. Going to show you now our app wheel. So this is really hot off the press, our new app wheel, and we have got so many things in there. So this is an app wheel which is all about apps to support complex communication support needs. So my colleague Gillian McNeil, who's here today, she had put this all together with the help of some of our other team as well, but really focusing on iPad apps, AAC, augmentative and alternative communication apps there. So it's split up into 3 different areas: full communication systems, simple communication, and communication skills. So if we look at the communication skills section there, this communication skills section, you'll find apps that link directly to systems that are commonly used in schools for pupils with autism, such as PECs. Some of the apps will mirror the progressive stages from the basic exchanging of a single picture for an item to the more advanced actual commenting in response to a question. What do you see? I see whatever it is. That would be the commenting part. So having digital versions of paper-based resources means you can easily and quickly personalize activities and not only use photos but video too. And you can see how effective this is. If we look at an app, one of the visual timetable apps, there's one called First Then Visual Timetable. I'm just going to show you that just now. And so you can see, I'm going to go to Max Smith's day. You can see the timetable there, and I'm going to choose the one that down at the bottom in the middle that will show me all the different elements there. But when I go down to the very bottom one there, yes, I've got pictures and I've got the text there, and I can listen to that read out. When I go down to the bottom one and click on the llama eating the grass.
You liking that?
You can see how much more powerful it is when you have got a bit of video in there. So that's where technology comes. You can't get that on a piece of paper. And that kind of level of support can be really supportive for somebody with autism. So just go back to the app wheel there. There's a wide range of symbol-based apps. So on this right-hand section here, very hugely in price too. An example of these would be Clicker Communicator, which uses symbol stick symbols. I'll show you what that looks like. It's another one from Crick, Communicator. And the idea would be to set it up in an intuitive way so that you're able to find the words and phrases that you want quickly and easily. You can edit the boxes in any way you want. You can even add in photos as well, but you might just want to start with a few squares on the first page and build on that, depending on the level of the person that's working at it. So I'm just really going to be able to click on a box and it goes up into the speak panel. I'm thinking about some food, so I'm going to go to the right-hand section and go into the food section. That's going to open up a whole another area there, and I'm going to choose what I would like. I want more yogurt. Now, tapping on the panel at the top, on the white speech,
I want more yogurt.
It's going to read it out there. So that's having that voice output facilitates conversation. You speak, I respond. I know from being with Max, he appeared to think conversation was overrated. He could not orally respond to any questions if he said, are you hungry, are you cold, are you feeling okay? But he could point to a symbol in an app and have the word spoken out, and then he could repeat the word, hungry, cold, whatever it was. And you could tell this really helped him with his conversation. And with the app on a phone, this makes it a really practical, portable option for communication. Go back to the app wheel again here. And looking at the text-based apps here, text-based apps are widely used for literate individuals who have lost the ability to speak, perhaps through a stroke, apraxia, or ABI, acquired brain injury, but they could be used for those with autism or Asperger's who have social anxieties or are non-verbal. I mean, there are some apps out there that look to regulate the emotions of autistic people in ways that seem to serve other people's comfort more than the person themselves. Whereas we want to give someone access to communication skills which will help them express themselves. And a good example of a text-based app would be Predictable. So I'm just going to put that up just now to give you an example of that. So this is the predictable here, so we don't have our symbols like we had in the clicker communicator. It's all text-based. But look at the bottom right-hand side, and this is a really, really important thing to have. You've got the little sort of phone icon, so I'm just going to click on that and listen to it.
Please wait a minute.
Okay, so it's really important when somebody's using a communication app like that, that they're given time to say what they want to say, and that the person that's listening and waiting for them isn't going to rush in and speak for them, isn't going to make them put them under pressure by doing anything quickly. So that's just a little reminder there that you have to give them time to create what they're going to say. So typing in some words there, predictable because you've got the predictive words coming at the top of the keyboard. I can change the size of the text. I'm going to say I thought, and that would give me the first word there in the prediction bar. I'm just going to tap on that. I don't need to type, so you're saving on keystrokes as well. Information was I spelled it right. Let's say confusing. There it is there. So again, I've got my the big yellow speaker icon. I'm just going to tap on that, and that'll be my way of speaking it out.
I thought the information was confusing.
So you're giving that voice there, and this is the area that my two speech and language therapist colleagues excel in, and we're going to be running 2 online learning workshops next term. One on symbols-based apps to support communication and one on text-based apps, and I'd really highly recommend them both, and I'll be sending out when I share the information on all the session links that you could sign up for these ones there. So there's other symbol resources worth knowing about, and I certainly want to flag up our Symbols for All page on our website. So there's lots of good information there. We've got curricular resources. It will give you information. I'll just click on that one there. So you've got all our curricular resources there. You've got things that are readily and easily downloadable, and things that so it's always great when you've got things that are ready made there. So you're not requiring to have BoardMaker symbols. There's either in BoardMaker symbols or we've got widget symbols as well there as well. So just back to the home page and Symbols for All. So that would come up. It's just a sort of subsection of our website there. So they've been really, really popular and definitely worth having a look at there. So that's Symbols for All. North Lanarkshire have a really good communication-friendly site at the moment. So there's lots of information there, which will be really, really useful. You can see you've got things very appropriate at the moment. We're focused on current for homeschooling scenarios, and there's this anxiety around transitions, school passports, lots of information there. Definitely worthwhile having a look at that there. And the one I saw just at the weekend there, which actually was quite nice, was just at the Makaton shop. So they were offering Father's Day cards. So really important, communication-friendly environment. If you're requiring symbols, you need them for everything. So it's nice when you've got nice inclusive learning resources like this. Choice-making apps is another thing is very popular for young people with autism, because thinking of them being echolaic, so you say, would you like to go to the beach or the park? And they will say park. And then when you say, would you like to go to the park or the beach? They say beach. They're really just repeating the last thing you say. So you really have to give them a way of being able to demonstrate what it is they actually want to do. So lots of different ways you can do that. There's lots of different apps out there in terms of they'll be tapping something on the screen to show what it is they really want. But again, just, without having to go particularly buying an app, you could be using something like inbuilt in the iPad, like Keynote, which is just really the equivalent of PowerPoint, and creating a little sort of simple presentation with some choices in there. So you've just got, for example, I've just created a very simple little choice. I'm just going to be tapping on which animal are you interested in. Let's say I love giraffes, tapping on the giraffe there, and I've now just that through nicely to give me a little video. So again, you've just really, really simply and easily used something that's inbuilt in the iPad. you've added in an object and just linked it to a video. So really good for making choices, and obviously you could do whatever you wanted on that. One of the other sections on the app wheel, when we're thinking about communication narratives and photo stories, really, really popular to create little social stories to alleviate anxiety and to show visuals of a new situation to prepare somebody for what's ahead. One of the ones we really like is the book creator one. I'm going to show you an example of that, which I had used, and it worked really well for a young person who was very anxious about going for a haircut. So just made up a little social story using the book creator app, and it worked really well. And they were able to use the iPad and just have a look at this and listen to the words and look at the pictures, listen to what it was saying. This is what my hair is going to look like. And just listen to it over and over, and even just being able to embed video as well was really good, because that would allow them to be able to see a little bit of ahead of what was going to happen. So that was using the book creator app to do the social story there, and I can share that one with you when I put out the follow-up notes there. Apps, lots of apps out there, but the one I was going to flag up was just this one, which is really around for feeling anxious. Is this one called Brain in Hand. So Brain in Hand is really an aid for people who find it hard to remember things or experience anxiety or have difficulties with executive function, for example, planning and organizing, as you can see how it's laid out there, initiating tasks, but a key one is this unplanned element, responding to unplanned situations, and that's why it's so useful for someone. This app is really useful for somebody with autism, and it is subscription based, and it's linked to a response service or a person of your choice. It's up to you, and that person will be contacted if an alert is triggered. So it's really got lots of good things about it, and it is working really well, and especially in sort of further education, higher education settings there. So. And one more app I'm going to show you. So this one's called Emergency Chat. So same type of thing that we're thinking about. Emergency Chat is a free app which allows somebody the chance to communicate with somebody by text using the same device. So you can modify this opening screen, but this is very clear. Somebody has got this on their iPad or their phone, and now they can show the person that they're trying to ask for help with, so the other person will realize what the issue is. And once you've just tapped on that, all you're going to have to do is then type in, so it's like a text conversation that then happens, where they're perhaps typing in, I need help, and then you can simply say, they pass it to you, and somebody, yourself, whatever it is, can then add in another bit of the conversation there. So just a free app, and just quite an easy and nice way to communicate. Again, using that medium of technology to make that connection there. So, okay, I'm really conscious of time now. Session was billed as a whirlwind one, and it really has been, and because there's just so much out there technology-wise, to apps for the iPad and inbuilt functionality to support somebody with autism. So I'm going to stop sharing my iPad just now and go back to the main screen, and let's have a look at some of the questions. Okay, so Craig, Gillian, any questions that are jumping out of you that you would like to ask?
Some questions, but Gillian has been asking them. There was, just go back. Mispa was asking, any choice-making apps?
Yeah, well, I suppose it would be depending on the age of the person, because Choose It Maker is one that we really like. That's definitely a good one, but have a look at the app wheel, and there'll be a section just to go and think about which one. But the keynote was that that's such an easy way to create with shapes or with objects, or linking it through to another picture, linking it through to another slide, and the example with the giraffe was linking through to a video. So without even buying an app there, you've got that option.
And
I
someone's
will add
asking
in
for
some other ones.
the North Lanarkshire. I'll just pop that back in for the North Lanarkshire.
Thank you, Gillian, for answering the questions as you go along. Definitely has been a real whirlwind session, and I hope I didn't jump around too much, but I wanted to fit in as much as possible and give a flavour of at least one example of the apps. But we'll have everything that I've covered today will be in the follow-up notes with the link. I'll give you the link to the brand new app wheel, which was just actually out today. But as always, use the call website, have a look to see what we've got on our blog and what we've got in terms of our webinar and our professional learning.
Katie's asking anything similar to GoTalker but on the iPad instead. Does GoTalker?
Yes. Gillian, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, there is an app called GoTalk now. It's on the app wheel, and yeah, it very much mirrors the GoTalk the device. So there is a free version to try out, but otherwise, yeah, the GoTalk Now app has got a lot of different features, symbols, as well as the option to create multiple communication books. So it's worth a look.
Okay, and Danielle's just asking, I've just posted this about, is there a way to cap the volume on the iPad? There is, Danielle, but you have to go into settings, and if my memory serves me right, it's done through the Apple Music app. There's a limiter in there where you can set the limit of the audio to to 80%, 90%. So, but you have to go into settings to find that.
Could I just jump in there too, Craig? In guided access, I think you can, if you use guided access, you can enable or disable some of the hardware buttons too.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So I think there might be an option to switch them off so that a child doesn't increase or decrease the volume that you've chosen.
For that particular app, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Any other questions, or we're just past our half hour there, so I don't want to keep anyone. Well, if we don't have any more questions just now, I'll just say thank you very much for logging in and listening. I hope it's been helpful. Perhaps just a reminder about some things that are out there, and I say it's such a huge range in terms of apps that are there on the iPad to support somebody with autism, as are their wide range of needs and abilities. And hopefully there's been something today that's been useful for you. And please get in touch and ask any questions. That's what we're there to answer any questions, support teachers, support parents, any other professionals working with children and young people with autism. So thank you very much for today's session, and thanks to my colleagues Craig and Gillian for being there with me.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, bye.